Hello, my name is Chandra. Welcome to another dinners video. These are five dinners that I made throughout December. It's hard for me to do a whole week right in a row, but these could have all happened in a week, and some of them did happen in the same week. This is potato leek soup. I am cutting up the light green and white parts of the leek, although you can eat the whole thing. This is just what I got, I think, from my CSA. They didn't include the darker green tops. And also an onion. When I make soup, I just can never make a small amount of soup. So I did end up having a couple little quart freezer bags of this for the freezer that I can pull out for lunch if I ever need something. So I put some bacon fat into the pan, and I'll add all of the onions and the leeks to that and cook them until they are softened. As I peel and cut these potatoes, I'm just adding them to this bowl of water, and it will keep them from browning as I get them all prepared. There were less potatoes in this soup than I expected, and it didn't in the end feel like there weren't enough potatoes. I just expected, I don't make potato soup a lot. I thought you needed more, but you don't need much. It is a pureed soup, so the onions and the leeks certainly add to the thickness, but there's just not that much potato in it. The recipe did not call for it, but I wanted to add some Italian sausage into the soup. So what I'm going to do is sear these on all sides, and then once they are good and seared, I'll slice them and add them into the soup once it has already been pureed. And then I'll finish cooking the sausage in the soup. So I'm adding a little bit of wine to the leeks and onions. I'm adding in bay leaves and thyme. The thyme is just frozen, chopped. I keep it in my freezer. Here go the potatoes. A bunch of salt because potatoes need a lot of salt. And last, chicken stock. Oops, I forgot to take out the bay leaves. I did not recover most of them. It didn't harm the soup. This night we are going to roast a chicken, and I'm going to have delicata squash and sweet potatoes on the side with a cranberry sauce. I like to do this side a lot, and you keep the delicata squash in rings, which is kind of fun. It's not that difficult to get the seeds out of a delicata just in this tube form, and then slice it up. And I'll roast all of these together with the sweet potatoes, some thyme, some garlic, and then have the cranberry sauce with that and the chicken, it's a really nice combination. I did not film roasting the chicken. I just did that at 375 until it was done. It was kind of a big chicken. And now I have the pan with its drippings poured into this measuring cup, and I'm just getting the fat off the top and back into that pan. I like to use this pan because I can put it on the stovetop and make the gravy right in where all those bits are stuck on the bottom from the chicken cooking. So I added some cassava flour. I always use cassava. It is a perfect replacement for flour. And once that cooks for a minute with the fat, I will pour these drippings back in and then add, I didn't have any stock on hand, so I'll just add water until I have the right thickness. Because I wasn't going to open a jar of stock on this night, I'm adding some kombu to my rice water, so there are still some nutrients going into the rice. This is all looking delicious, and I had forgotten to put maple syrup on it, so I did a little bit of that and then back into the oven to just finish up. A pretty typical follow-up dinner to roast chicken is chicken soup for us, because I have that carcass and it's easy to just get that going in the morning. There's that big pot in the background there that has the carcass and whatever vegetables I've accumulated in the freezer, little ends of onions and carrots and such, celery. That's all been cooking all day, so I have a nice stock, and I've got some bacon fat in my pan, adding onions, carrots, celery, and I'm also going to use parsnips in this soup because I have quite a few of those right now. I froze a lot of herbs this year instead of drying them, and I'm really liking it. They feel fresher a little bit than dried. So there's some, I'm adding all of them to this chicken soup. So there was rosemary, I'm putting in oregano, thyme, and garlic. Here's a little bit of leftover gravy from the roast chicken night, and then I will add a bunch of stock from my fresh batch here in the back. Instead of doing a roux with cassava flour and the fat in the vegetables before I added the stock, I decided to thicken this soup with egg. And I've had great success doing this in the past. It did not work tonight. I think the things got too hot. It separated a little bit, like, maybe got a little bit of scrambled egg in there, and it didn't thicken up. I think there was too much stock. Maybe I needed 2 eggs, and maybe it got too hot after the eggs were in there. But I'll still do that again because I know there's a Greek soup. I think it's called avoglamano, or I've never made it, but I've read about it. And I know it is thickened with egg, and that's where I got the idea. And it's been really good in the past. So I keep trying. My serving looks a little different because I threw in some cooked greens that were in the refrigerator. But here it is with some bread. It was yummy. This night is a steak stir fry, and this stir fry is interesting. A lot of steak stir fries that I do are a quick sear on the steak, so you don't cook it too much. And in this case, you cook it a lot. So first, I am sauteing celery and carrots in my pan. Then I'm gonna get that pan really hot, add some avocado oil and my thinly sliced steak. And I'm gonna cook this like forever. You cook it until all the moisture has evaporated and it's pretty dry, and then add in the soy sauce, or in this case, I use coconut aminos, and add the vegetables back in. Just adding some garlic and ginger. I do like how this recipe is pretty simple. There's not a sauce to mix up. Sometimes putting a few ingredients together is like more than I feel capable of doing in an evening. So it's nice to have something that is very simple. It is coconut aminos and sesame oil as far as liquids, and then just those couple of spices. I'm making burgers for the freezer and also burgers for dinner tomorrow night. So I have 2 pounds of ground beef. For each pound of ground beef, I add 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And then when I make my patties, so that they don't puff up in the middle while they cook, I am making a little indent with my fingers, and then I'll end up with a flat burger in the end. This one's gonna get cooked right now for a snack.
For me. 3 of my rolls. No, 4 of my rolls.
Anybody else want lettuce?
No. 4 of my wolves.
Joe, lettuce?
4 of my wolves have gotten killed.
Your rolls?
Wolves. And I had to get new ones.
Different flavors.
Burgers are a dinner we like to have on Friday nights because it feels easy at the end of the week. And this night I had made previously in the week some gluten-free hamburger buns that are so good. So I got to have my hamburger on a bun, which I usually just have it on some lettuce with all the toppings on top of it, and it is not as exciting as a sandwich. So I really enjoyed this a lot. I made some avocado mayonnaise. I really went all out. Oh, and those are sweet potato fries.